Hello and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a technical update on the equities markets. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. I might or might not have a position in some of the single stocks that I'm talking about. So please do your own due diligence, your own analysis, and find out what is best for you to do. I will not advise or recommend anything. This is purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market using technical analysis. So let's start with S&P 500. New all-time highs on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 for that matter, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We are above 7,000. I expected to have a correction either yesterday or today, or at least a top and a reversal and a little bit of correction. We are in a strong bullish trend on both daily and currently also weekly. Weekly RSI is back above 60 threshold. Let's see where it will end the week. That could be decisive for the medium-term trend. But just below 7,100, or actually quite a bit below 7,026, we're pushed higher there. Looking at the pre-market on the future, it actually pushed higher, so it's actually very close to 7,100. It continued higher in the aftermarket, and there's expectations about that the U.S. companies will have a stellar earnings when they start reporting that, which they will pretty soon. So, but again, we could have a bit of a correction. Let us see when we have a top and reversal pattern in place. I will keep an eye on, but be careful if you're trying to jump on the wagon here when it actually has pushed that high that fast. We have Nasdaq 100 just closed above the previous all-time high peak there, 20,214 and a bit, and strong bullish trend. No divergence on the RSI, showing positive sentiment. We are likely to push higher, but we could do with a correction. But let's see where it will come from. I will talk about single stocks in a minute. Also here, pre-market, we have the Nasdaq 100 pushing even higher, very close to 26,500. I could imagine a little bit of correction coming in, but not a trend reversal. The Dow Jones future, as we can see here, yes, it is above resistance. Yes, it is above the cloud and positive sentiment, but it's really lacking. And that's some of the old school companies like Dow Chemicals and some of the industrials, and especially also some of the farmers are lacking and financials. So what is pushing the market? We're going to talk about that in a minute. The Russell 2000 small caps also very close to its all-time highs, and if it closes above this top and reversal pattern, then it's definitely cancelled, but I will regard it as cancelled for a long time ago anyway. So also here, I think we are right for a little bit of correction. You can see also when the RSI gets up there, then we have a little bit of a correction. On the Asian market overnight, for me at least, or early morning there, we hang Seng closed above minor resistance at 26,373. Actually, it's a key resistance. It's not a minor one. RSI testing 60 threshold, so that will be key. What will it do here tomorrow, Friday? Will it close above the RSI 60 and push higher and close above 26,500 at the upper part of the cloud? If it does, then it is also into a full-blown bullish trend, but again, there can be setbacks. The Nikkei also pushed higher the past few days, getting closer and closer to its peak there at just above 60,070, and we are very close to it. I think it will be taken out, and we will push higher in the coming days and weeks. European market, on the other hand, is really lacking the rest, and I think I will zoom in on it and leave the weekly chart out for a minute. We saw that it looks like the EUROSTOXX 50 actually closed the gap there, but it didn't. The gap was 5,987, but it closed at 5,984. It touched it almost within a euro, but that was basically it. So now it's trading in that range. I think it will break above. we are in a positive sentiment, we are in a bullish trend, but we just need that extra large to close above 5,987, and then we could be headed for the all-time highs here too. So we also have the moving average, a bit of moving sideways, the 55, but look at this, we have the 100 coming up, and we are above the cloud, so it should push higher eventually. The DAX index also struggling here with this resistance, 24,207.5. That is the gap resistance there, trading around the 100, the 200, and the 55 moving average. So it is really a struggle, and also just below the cloud. We have the RSI 60 threshold being tested. We need a close above. And I think regardless of what comes first, if it's RSI 60 close above that, then I think we will close this gap there. And especially if we close it about 24,648, we will be above the gap area. We will be above the cloud, and RSI will be above 60. So keep an eye on that, unless it slides back and takes out 23,500. Don't think so. So let's have a look at some of the names in the US that has been running the show. Of course, we can't talk about all of them, but some of them at least. Of course, it's the Magnificent Seven. Some of them has been running the show. We talked about it past week that some of them already kind of front run the market, so to speak. But we have Google or Alphabet, the C share here, pushing higher. And let's have it include the weekly chart also. We got it here, that we can see it's pushing higher also on the weekly, getting closer and closer to the all-time highs, 350 and a bit. And I think we could be reaching that in a couple of weeks. Again, I would expect there may be a little bit of a setback, but can you see here that it's trading around, it's trading a little bit lower actually, about $1 lower than the close of yesterday. So maybe we'll have a little bit of correction back to below 330, maybe a 325, and then maybe even testing the upper part of cloud. But the bullish trend is intact, so I wouldn't, if I was owning it, I wouldn't go short or anything. I will keep it. But again, that is not a recommendation advice. Amazon, and we can see it's taking out 250. It didn't close above, just below here, and yesterday we have a little bit of topish, and I think we will see it setting back a little bit, but it took out that peak there, didn't close above, but it did take it out. So let's see. I think we will still see medium to longer term that we will see higher levels on Amazon. We see how the RSI was above 75 and trying to break a little bit lower here, but there's no divergence, so just a correction, and I think we'll push higher here also. Amazon. Apple that has been lacking the others, got its mojo back yesterday and pushed through the resistance there around 262.5, closed above the cloud, closed above the 100 moving average, and more specifically, we also had the 60 threshold being closed above that level there. So we are now back in positive sentiment and could see Apple pushing higher in the coming days and weeks towards the 275, 280, 285 possibly on the short to medium term. Moving on to the other bigger names and let's go through the Max 7, and then I have a few more at the end. We have the Meta that closed just below the cloud and in the cloud here, and just below the resistance at 672.75, but RSI is in a positive sentiment, indicating likely higher levels. We have the 200 kind of putting a lid on there. I could foresee that we maybe will set back a little bit, and then I think we will break it eventually, but it is a little bit of a struggle here, despite the fact that we do have positive sentiment on the RSI. We could see it setting back. Microsoft was also on the move, and we talked about these levels here a while ago, where we had this falling trend channel here, falling channel that it broke above, and it needs to close above 385, and it did the following day down to 14s, and it continued yesterday to the resistance here at 413.60, testing it, just spiking above it a little bit. It needs to close above for further upside, and if it does, then there could be further upside to at least the upper part of cloud area. but also higher towards 450, maybe even up towards 475 area. We can see here on the weekly, it was a significant move this week. So if it's being rejected here and sliding back, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that short term, and then maybe it will have another go at it. Well, we have a little bit of resistance here on Microsoft. It's not a big one, but around 424, around that level. We have the 100 moving average coming down, also kind of put a layer on it. So I'd be cautious. I think we could see a correction, but positive sentiment supporting the trend for now. On the Nvidia, that closed above the resistance area 196 on the 14s. These peaks here, and now it's also tested that peak there and closed higher. Positive sentiment. We can see the 55 moving average. If we zoom in here, we can see it is about to break above the 100 moving average, and they're both rising, and that will support further upside on the medium-term trend. Also here we can see on the weekly pushing higher. RSI, I actually never got below 40 threshold, so there is potential much higher for Nvidia. Also, I wouldn't be surprised to see in a couple of weeks time maybe even an all-time high. Again, it is not a recommendation. Tesla has woken up and suddenly buyers came rushing in for whatever reason. It shot up yesterday, but you should have been aware of this already. There was a resistance there, but the strong one is up here around 396, where we have the 55 moving average also coming down. We have the 200 slightly rising here. So key will be here the next few days. Can it close above this resistance, and can RSI close back above 60 threshold? If it does, well, then there is certainly potential much higher for the Tesla share that has been really beaten down for a very long time. And let's put a Fibonacci to it. I just need to adjust this one up there. There we are. We can see the 382 retracement is just around where we have these resistance levels there. Then the 50% of this downtrend there is around 418. But also look at this. We have, excuse me, 61.8 retracement at 437, around that resistance there at 436. So keep an eye on what's going on there. A few others that we have been talking about lately has of course been Oracle. That has also been quite a lot beaten down here for the better part of the past 6 months. But it also here on the 13 closed above the falling trend line. We talked about that. It continued and then is now testing, and yesterday tested the 172 resistance and the 100 moving average coming down there, and the upper part of cloud. So that is a kind of an inflection point here too. Can it close above? If it does, well, then there's potential up to 200, 206, 210 area on the short to medium term. We have a bottom reversal pattern here. We have this double bottom like pattern, so it will be confirmed if it closes above 172 and with a potential up to this level there. Positive sentiment on the RSI indicating and supporting that picture. And let's just have a look at Intel. That might be stalling a little bit, very stretched to say the least. I think we will see a correction here coming in soon, but the bullish trend is still intact. But look at this. We also have on the weekly chart, we have the RSI declining, and we can show that with the trend line here. So what it needs to do, basically, I want to put a horizontal line on it. There we go. 79.73. If RSI closes above that, well, then the exhaustion has been cancelled, the divergence has been cancelled, and there is a potential higher. Let me just round off with something completely different. The two weight loss competitors, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. And let's have a look at how they have been fared lately. We have Eli Lilly. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, actually quite a few weeks ago, that it didn't look too good. It broke below the key support area here around 977, sold off, got almost down to 864, where there's some support, but it's trading around it was trading around the 200 moving average coming up. Then we had a little bit of bottom fishing relief rally, but it got rejected there again at 977, and then it is back in the bearish trend. And there's no divergence on the RSI, so it seems like Eli Lilly looks quite heavy. If it takes out the lows here, and I will just add the horizontal line to it, if it takes out the lows there at 878, well, then there is risk much lower down here in this consolidation or correction area here, below 864, possibly down to 800. And we can see here on the weekly, it is in a bearish trend. There's still no negative sentiment on it, but it could very quickly, especially if it closes below the 878, then we could go into a negative sentiment also. So let's see, 977, it needs to close above that. Its competitor in Denmark and Europe, Novo Nordisk, that has been beaten quite badly the past year almost, since the peak there in when was that? In June last year. So it's more than 6 months. But it seems like it's formed a base now. Kind of a double bottom here it has formed. And if we just add this horizontal line, it's broken above now during today. It tested it yesterday. Trading above now. Can it stay above? And if RSI can stay above 60 threshold, well, then there is potential higher to maybe a little bit of correction there, a bullish correction that could take it up to maybe in the region around, oh, sorry about that, 275. We're getting close to that, maybe even 285 and maybe even 300, because sometimes when it goes fast one way, it sometimes also go fast the other way. So we have a level here around 300 before that massive sell-off there. But of course, there are other levels to watch out for here. Short term, there is this in between here around 280. But it seems to be turning the tide maybe a little bit. But let's see. On the weekly, we can see it was trading sideways there. Let's zoom in. And then we have this bullish week here where buyers are now rushing back into it. But the bigger picture, we are still bearish, but we have turned the tide. If it closes above around current level and above these 255.85 level, then we have established a bullish trend. All right, that's all for today, and have a nice day. Keep charting out there and be careful.